Welcome once again to the Success Magnet Network. We're so thrilled to be able to introduce Cyndi Uelen to you. She is a leading coach, an executive career and leadership coach, and she's going to share with us her journey in becoming a coach and also how she helps her clients as well. Cyndi, before we dive in, I just tell me a little bit about yourself and, why are you passionate about helping leaders, both men and women?
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having me. It's so great to see what you're doing with Success Magnet. But yeah, so I'm Cyndi Uelen, and I'm an executive career and leadership coach. I do some lifestyle coaching as well. Before I built my own business, I spent about 25 years in corporate America doing training and leadership development, organizational development, and of course, coaching leaders and individuals and teams. And I really enjoyed the work. I love working with people and teams, the one-on-one coaching to watch individuals grow their careers, step into their potential, and really get clear on what they want next in their career, whether it was staying with the company or getting a promotion or elevating just their skills. And a lot of people are not aware of their skill gaps. So that was a fun part of helping leaders kind of grow into that potential.
Wow. Okay. So when you say skill gap, does that include like soft skills? I hate to say it, soft skills, because I feel like they're power skills, when you're talking about how to communicate
Yeah.
with
And
others. So how much did you get into like the power skills versus technical skills as well?
oh, well, I would say that would be the majority of my work. You know, a lot of leaders and managers do their technical side of their job really, really well, and they get promoted for that. But in all frankness, it's their power skills. Yeah, we say soft and hard skills, but I think the soft and power skills are amongst the hardest skills a lot of times. So whether that's communication, conflict management, a lot of leaders don't know the difference between leadership and management. They are different, and helping leaders just grow into those power skills because those are oftentimes the skills they need to close that gap. They're here, they want to be here, but we need to close that gap. So sometimes it's even confidence. I work with a lot of women leaders, and confidence comes up as a skill or behavior gap that they put amongst themselves a lot of times. And so we help them navigate that as well.
Well, yes, and I believe that the power skills, as we say, have changed so much. I mean, you reflect back 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and you walk into an executive room and it's all about, okay, delegate this, and this, and the communication wasn't there. And I love that our communities have gotten to where the communication is so important and identifying how people love to be communicated with and how you best communicate so that you can influence others is so key. Tell us a little bit about how you have done that in your practice.
Yeah, so communication oftentimes it tends to be when there is a conflict in the workplace or amongst individuals. Let's just say that it ends up being communication. There's a communication gap. A lot of people think it's a like a personality gap, but at the end of the day, it is a communication and listening gap. Sometimes those two go hand in hand. How I work with individuals to help elevate their communication is through the everything disc work. I'm a certified partner with the Wiley Group, and we use the everything workplace disc primarily because in that program, it's not just a program, it's a way to help leaders and individuals understand their communication style, how to work with others, and then how do we work as a team. And what I love about the instrument that I use is that it has this section where it gives you the three key strategies of how you can be more effective in building relationships in the workplace or obviously one-on-one when I'm working with individuals that the light bulb goes on because they say, oh, that's why this person acts the way they do. But it also gives you some strategies of how to communicate better personally and professionally.
I think that's really good because as we understand ourselves better, then we can give ourselves grace, and then
Mhm.
also understanding what other people, their thought processes, their communication style. As we get educated about that, then we can more effectively communicate, period. It's interesting. You mentioned to me that you had a career crossroads. Tell me a little bit about that, and what happened to you in your journey to really find coaching and understand that you could help people.
Yes, so what happened with me, and that's really at the heart of what I do, is help people navigate that crossroads. And crossroads to me is anytime in your personal or professional life you are asking yourself, I'm feeling something inside of me that just is off or doesn't feel right, or maybe I want to go a different direction in my career or life. And so, a couple of crossroads, I'll mention two crossroads that happened to me. The first one happened in the area of health. So, when I was in corporate, so I'll take you back a little bit. Um, I was getting on planes and traveling across the country, but primarily on the West Coast. Twice a month, I was going to five different states, and I was in airports. And this may sound familiar to you, in airports and hotel rooms, and just I would be on the go and eating what I wanted to and those type of things. And what really happened was my weight started to creep up. And next thing you know, I'm looking at a scale, and I don't like to coach on the scale. But at the time, I looked at the scale and I didn't like that number, quite frankly. I had gained quite a bit of weight, and I just made this decision. I had this crossroads of, hey, do I want to keep on living on autopilot and taking care of everyone else and helping everybody else with their goals, their life and career goals, and putting everybody first. And at the time, I also was, or still am married with a couple of kids at home still. I was playing, the leader of the household too. So my point being, this crossroads was I was 50 pounds heavier, and I created this impossible goal for myself to lose 50 pounds, and gave myself a full year to do it right and slow, and do all the things that worked for me. And that was the most life changing, I think, crossroad that I came across, because not only did I lose the 50 pounds physically, but just the 50 pounds of weight mentally, emotionally. It just took me into another direction. And that was really impactful for me because I was that career woman who was thriving in her career, but had this area of health that really needed attention. And I finally gave it to myself and put myself
I,
first.
I yeah, and I think that story resonates with so many of us. I mean, especially, giving birth and then going back and forth and weight. And yes, I remember being 30, 35 pounds heavier than I am right now, at certain points in my life. And I was like, it's so frustrating. How do I get back? Um, and yet, it does take that calm kind of focus that now you're going to change your life in your health or your relationships or your business or your spirituality. All of those areas you can change your life. I mean, you have the ability to do that, and that's what really Success Magnet is all about. And that's why we're so thrilled that you are part of our grouping, because we know that you have the skills to help people to really excel in their careers. And so tell us a little bit more about that. Why do you think that so many accomplished women reach a point that they have achieved what they want to achieve, but then they still feel stuck or they feel unfulfilled. And this could go for guys as well. Why is it that we reach where we want to be, but then we're still not fulfilled?
Yeah, and I think that answering that question for each individual is going to be a little bit different. I think if I were to say just individuals in general, we tend, and I saw this in the corporate world as well, is we go after we're high achievers. So we go after a goal, we achieve it, and then we're moving on to the next goal, and this becomes a cycle. But we a lot of times we're going after a specific goal in that career, for example, and we're not looking at prioritizing ourself or our health or those relationships. So a lot of times some area of our life tends to fall short, and it's getting that harmony back of we can be successful or thrive in different areas. And yes, it's not going to be perfect, but if we feel fulfilled and we're living this meaningful life and we're not letting an area like a relationship fall short because you're spending too much time at work or on a plane, for example. So it's really getting clear on what matters most to you and getting clear on how can we navigate just bringing harmony, not balance. I tend to watch myself use that because there's really no balance. It's really about bringing harmony to those different areas.
I love that. I was about to use the word balance, but you're right. Harmony is much more important. Harmony, alignment, making sure that you are, striving towards your purpose.
Yeah.
And I think, as a coach, I'm sure you've developed many materials, and I understand that you've developed the Thriving Career Accelerator method. And this is something that is the heart of what you do. Can you please explain to us a little bit how that works and how it helps your clients?
Yes, so I think I am in my first client when it came to the Thriving Career Accelerator method. And really, it's a three-phase approach to helping individuals get clear on what they want, build the confidence and strategy to move towards it, but then ultimately thrive in both your career and life. And I feel like that was me years ago. And so it really evolved into this three-phase approach. And each area, each phase has three specific areas. And so I kind of used myself on how I wanted to help others navigate this. So phase one is a navigate what's next. And so the three areas under that is most importantly, get clear on what you really want. We don't pause and stop and just ask ourselves and get curious on what we really want.
I think
Um,
that's the hardest part,
it is. It
really.
really is.
And
It
that's
really
why a coach is so valuable. I know in my life, it's so hard. They got so many thoughts going on in my mind. What do I do first, second, third? And that's where coaching is so valuable.
Yeah. I mean, as high achieving individuals, we just keep going. We go on to the next thing and we don't often pause and ask ourselves that question. A lot of times what people ask themselves is, what should I do? And I just take the word should, could, would out of my vocabulary. And I like to ask myself the question, what do I really want next? And that's really what that first area is about. And then the second one is elevate your leadership because we all have skill gaps and behavior gaps. And so let's get clear on what areas do we want. Once we get clear on what we want to navigate, okay, do I have any skill gaps or what do I need to do to accomplish this? And then the third area is all about creating that career map, whether it's starting your own business, you want a promotion, but whatever that career next step is for you, let's get not only clear, let's close the gap, and then let's create that roadmap together. That's phase one.
Oh wow. Okay. That's incredible. I mean, that is such a great beginning. I feel like I want to just get a little hint of what phase two and three are.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
phase two is so now that we are clear on what we want to do next and we have the skills that we want to or have to achieve it, we've got our career map and the road map. Phase two is all about elevating your life, but in this area of energy. So we want to energize your life. And energize is all about kind of that healthy lifestyle part. You need to have the energy and make sure that you are fueling your body and your mind, which is that first area. So, nutrition and sleep and vitality, all of those, recovery, well-being, we need to cover those areas in that first area, phase two. And then a movement, we've got to move. So, we talk about ways that you can move. When I was losing that 50 pounds at the time, I used to be one that would not get up from my computer, work through lunch. We've walking for 20 minutes on your lunch break. It's amazing what that will do to your not fit just physical, but your mental and emotional health there.
Well, and right. And we've heard this phrase that sitting is the new smoking.
Yes,
You
yes,
literally have to get up every hour and
right.
give yours like you do in class. Like remember when we were in school and we had a 50-minute class and then we had 10 minutes to get to the next class or whatever.
Exactly.
Those 10 minutes are very important.
So important. And then the last area is all about breaking the burnout cycle. And that is where we talk about what are some stress strategies that will help you to navigate that at work and after work. So, whatever that might be for you. So, then phase three is how do we thrive in both? And this is where we talk about taking back your time. Many of us are just on autopilot and not really using our calendars as their boss, I like to say, and that resonates with some people. And if you're not a boss, don't have a boss, then use your calendar as if you would not do this if it's on your calendar, because a lot of
Okay,
us
so what you're
don't
sorry.
prioritize.
So what you're saying is that you're actually prioritizing the other elements of your life, not just business, but you're calendaring that so
Yeah.
that you don't skip it, so that you don't neglect those areas. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I don't like to use the word time management. I like to say take back your time and energy. But at the core of that first area is my system that I take my clients through is we actually put yourself on the calendar first. So there's a sneak peek of that system, which is a total mindset for a lot of people because we put our work and our appointments and our meetings. And yes, we do that as well. But if we don't get ourselves on the calendar, it's likely not to happen.
Yep. It's so easy to neglect yourself when you're taking care of so many other people, not
Yeah.
only your family, but your clients, the community, just all the different areas that you're involved in. And that harmony. I love that word. Thank you for bringing that word harmony into this interview. I appreciate that so much. So
That's
what was
actually
it?
the second area of that third phase is work
Yeah,
life. Harmony is the second
harmony.
area because we need to make sure that we're putting not only ourselves on the calendar, but we're actually executing on it. We're building self-care practices and making sure that we're looking at what percentage of the time do we want to spend with work, but also ourselves, if we have a partner or a spouse, and how much time do we want to spend on ourselves. And then the third area is really about making sure that we're building that success, that sustainable success, because we can have all these different areas, but if we're not implementing a plan to an action plan to sustain this and maintain this success of integrating all of these things. And these aren't nine different topics or nine different areas. They really
There are
build upon each.
three areas, but then you're just honing in on specific parts of each area, right? So that makes it easy.
Mhm.
Threes are
Yep.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they build upon each other. And so
Uh-huh.
sometimes we start at career. A lot of people come to me for career, but they may have a different area that they say, "Oh no, this is we need to start here." So it's customizable for sure.
I love that customizable. Okay. So, what does it look like to have like your career, your life, your health? What we build on the heroes model, of course, with success magnets. So you got health, education, relationships, opportunity, spirituality, all of those in harmony with each other. What does it mean to somebody when they feel that they are on track for that? And how do they get out of this idea that I'm not enough, like I always have to do more and more and more, and still be goal oriented? So I think there's a careful balance there.
There is. I do think it comes down to mindset, though. I teach a lot in it. I incorporate some like emotional regulation and some mindset work about around like what do you really what is a meaningful or fulfilling life? What does thrive mean to you? Just to get clear on what does that mean to my client because it means something differently to everybody. When I remember just being a career mom in my early days and feeling like kind of guilty going to work and getting on planes and being gone for so many hours. But that was a mindset shift for me personally because I am a thriving career mom and I want my kids to know that. And I'm not going to feel anything but support from my family. And I realized it was more of a mindset work for me. My kids were, well, thanks for making dinner before you left, Mom. And I was doing all thanks for making sure you had pickup ready. And my husband and I had to coordinate that between our schedules when I was traveling. So there's so much about your thoughts creating your reality. And I do a lot of mindset work around that. And we all have different circumstances that we have thoughts about. And I really believe those thoughts create certain emotions and feelings, but we tend to take action on how we're feeling. So if we're feeling a negative way, we might take a negative action or an inaction. And ultimately, that doesn't create positive results for us. So when we really look at our circumstances that don't change, but we implement or think or reframe new thoughts around it, the results and the outcomes can be so much more better. So I guess in a way that's how I would answer that question. It's a lot of we're putting so much pressure on ourselves to be every super mom, super dad, super this, super that, and really it's about what is creating this work-life harmony, this fulfilling life that brings you so much joy, yet you can still have a career, you can still have a healthy life and your relationships and all and a spirituality. All of these things can really come together if you really put your mindset to it as well.
It sounds like, Cindy, that you have eaten your own cooking, that you are fully equipped to coach anybody on, I love it that you've had this experience in corporate, you've experienced family, juggling. I mean, which is, sometimes the hardest thing because we appreciate and love our children. And yet, that they do need to take priority. And yet we also want to be fulfilled in all areas of our life. So that's a tough juggle. It really is. So, any women who are listening to this, what would you say to them that, maybe they're saying to themselves, this is me. I really want something different. I just don't know where to begin. What would you tell them or suggest for them to do?
I would suggest for them to really take a step back and pause and ask themselves that question that we kind of started with in the beginning. And that's to ask themselves, what do I really want next? Because if you don't have clarity on what you want next, you're not going to have direction. And it's so simple just to take out a piece of paper and write a journal prompt at the top. What do I really want next? Grab a cup of tea or coffee and sit with yourself. We don't do that enough. And sit with yourself and just take a step back to say, what do I really want? And don't answer it too quickly. Really sit with it and maybe take it out the next day to give yourself that 24-hour rule, because how you feel and answer that question today may be different tomorrow. But ask yourself that question, because when you have clarity, it gives you direction. And when you have direction, you'll have the energy to really navigate and what's next, because a lot of us want to spring into action. We want to update the resume, go for the promotion, look on to see what other positions at a high level look like. But really asking yourself, what do I really want? I think that is your first next step into determining what that might look like for individuals.
I think that's great advice because as I've journaled over the years, and I go back and I read a month prior or 6 months prior, I'm like, oh, I forgot that I was thinking about that at the time. I need to, regroup on things, and we're constantly changing in the way that we've progressed in our lives, and what different we create different meanings for different opportunities and different situations. And it's so important to get in touch with us ourselves
Yeah.
every single day. How do you suggest women and guys, all of us, to do that, to get in touch with ourselves, to make sure we're grounded before we go on to, the rest of our day?
I think it starts with having a solid morning routine. Just I could say, I could give a lot of different examples. That's the first one that just came to mind, because if you don't have a rock solid morning routine, and when I say that, it's gonna look different for everybody, but having just 10 minutes of quiet time to yourself to make sure that, how do I want to feel at the end of the day? Do I want to feel fulfilled, productive? And it's going to be different depending on your day. But if you want to feel joy or happiness, I would start with, how do I want to feel today? And you can create your day, your morning, your afternoon, your evening routine around um, prioritizing yourself first in the beginning of the day. And I journal first thing in the morning. I do what's called a thought download. A lot of us wake up, we go right to our phones. I won't touch my phone first thing in the morning. I go right to my journal and write down all of the thoughts in my head, get them out of my head onto paper. And then I tend to start to journal on like what do I need to focus on today? And that really brings me to where I can prioritize myself or others for that day. Like, who's my priority today? What's my priority today? And a lot of times we're looking at everyone else, but I push back on some of my clients to say, um, who's the most important relationship in your life? And most of the time they give me their kids or their husband. And I say, who's the most important? And then they realize it's them, it's themselves. And so I think that's really important for people to really ask themselves that question. What does that look like for me? What is the
Well, Cindy,
relationship with myself?
Absolutely. And Cindy, as I have listened to you, I've actually had an emotional and a physical response to some of the things. My heart is pounding a little faster, just knowing exactly this woman is speaking the truth. And I can tell that the advice that you provide to people is going to be, very specific to their situation. Can you tell us before we close up here just a heartwarming story about one of your clients and how you've seen them grow as a result of working with you or learning some of your principles and how they implemented that into their life and how that actually changed or helped them develop into their purpose?
Yeah, I have a client who came to me originally because I had done a podcast on the impossible goal, and it was very much around goal setting, and she is very much into goals. So she hired me to help her with a couple of goals. One being that she was in corporate for a long time and really wanted to leave the corporate world and go back to being an entrepreneur. And we navigated through that. But at the same time, she also was going through some personal things. One, she ended up losing her dad, and we talked a little bit through that. So that was kind of navigating through that relationship and his passing, and just also. I think what her biggest takeaway through that process, and this is 6 months into a couple of minutes here, is the mental work, the emotional regulation work around, you can have certain circumstances happen, but it's also about your thoughts about it. When she decided to go all in on her entrepreneurship and owning her own business, that's a whole different ball game, navigating that. So we had a great time working together. A second time to actually talk through what going back into owning your own business and just really going all in. There's a difference between being interested in going all in or actually being committed. And so we talked through the difference between being interested and committed. When you're committed and you go all in, you will, achieve those goals that you're going for. So she's has her own business now, and she's really thriving in life herself.
Well, Cindy, thinking of thriving, I feel like you yourself are a thriver and you are able to emanate that and help others to do the same. And I'm such a believer in coaching in all areas of your life. Obviously, this is where Success Magnet has come in, and I just want to encourage anybody who's listening to this that kind of resonates with what Cindy is saying. As an executive career and leadership coach, she is the ticket to helping you to understand where you need to go, what you need to do to get there, and really identifying your purpose and keeping yourself and your life in harmony. So, thank you so much, Cindy, for being with us today. And we look forward to seeing you on the Success Magnet platform for many years to come. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day.